Welcome to 1.4, add and subtract integers combined. There's not a lot of new information in this lesson. It's mostly reviewing the last three lessons. I found if I don't spend a little time combining everything into one lesson and just move on, we get a lot of mistakes. So not a lot of new stuff. So see what you already know. So negative 11 plus negative 9 is negative 20, right? You owe 11, you owe 9, you owe 20. 7 plus negative 8 is negative 1. You have one extra negative. Negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. You have 4 extra negatives. Then yesterday we added this. Negative 11 minus 9 is the same as negative 11 plus negative 9, which is negative 20. Pause and finish the video before me. Finish the warm-up. 7 minus 8, not 1. 7 plus negative 8 is negative 1. Well, that's interesting. It's the same answer as the one above. So was that one. Negative 6 minus negative 2, same as negative 6 plus 2, negative 4. Again, I warned you in the warm-up there are lots of little patterns to try to show you things. So if you have no money in your checking account, that's called having a zero balance, but then write checks for more than you deposited, what happens? Well, it's called bouncing a check. You can write a check when you have no money in your account. The problem is that when the bank finds out, not only do they tell the person you wrote the check to, who's angry at you, and don't pay him the money, but they also charge you a fee, usually like $15 or $20, on top of you having to put the money into your account. So this is a lot of review. So the first one you have 5 extra positives. The second one you have 5 extra negatives. Right, these are both negative. And so this answer is negative 54. Now when you see that subtraction symbol, that's when you start adding the opposite, not any other time. Right, that's 23 minus negative 13. That's a subtraction symbol, that's a negative sign. There's no difference in size, it's where they are. Notice I'm always showing that I'm adding the opposite there. So what has to go in that blank? Well, if you put 3 in there, that doesn't work. That gets you negative 2 over here, so it's not 3. Let's see negative 3. Is negative 5 plus negative 3 negative 8? Yes, it is. Try this one. Well, the only thing that can go in that blank is positive 4. Negative 5 plus 4 equals negative 1. So put something in there, see if it works. If not, fix it. Now, a lot of people try to put 2 in there, but 7 minus 2 is not 9, right? So what's going to get that to minus what will get that to 9? Well, it's minus negative 2, right? Because it's got to be 7 plus 2 equals 9. So knowing that subtraction is always the same as adding the opposite is not just the way we do the problems to get the answer. It is something we have to understand because we go back and forth between the two. So two of those have the same answer. Figure out which two. Well, this one in the middle is the same as 19 plus 4. All right, so that's not the same as 19 minus 4. Yeah, subtraction is the same as adding the opposite. So the two that are the same are those two. There are three that are the same here. Well, subtraction is the same as adding the opposite. So these two are the same. And the commutative property, though this was a little trickier than we've done before, says you can switch the order of addition. All right, so there's a use of the commutative property. X plus y is not going to be the same answer as x minus y unless the numbers are zeros. All right, but generally x plus y does not equal x minus y. So you had to use your commutative property. This is why you need to know properties. All right, we're going to be doing things with letters, so you have to know that you can switch things around and they're the same. All right, so this is matching. So there is one that goes with each one. So this is the same as 32 plus 15, which is, right, 4. So A goes with, so it's 4 goes with A. You can draw lines, but you don't need to. You can just write 4A. This one is the same as 32 plus negative 15. Well, that is 1, so 1 goes with B. Notice these both start with negative 32, so they better go with the ones that had negative 32 in it. This is negative 32 plus negative 15. Well, that's 2, so 2 goes with C. And that means 3 better go with D. Let's just make sure. Negative 32 plus 15 is equivalent, right? Subtraction is the equivalent to adding the opposite. Right, so now this gets a little trickier, right? You're going to change the subtractions to adding the opposite. Now, once I do this, some students start changing everything to adding the opposite. You don't change adding to adding the opposite. You change subtraction only, right? So the rule is first number stays the same, adding stays the same. There's some subtraction. That becomes adding the opposite. Once it's adding, whether it has negatives in it or not, once it's adding, you can add it in any order you want, commutative property. So the answer to that is 17. Try this one. So first number stays the same. Subtraction becomes adding the opposite. Addition stays the same. Be careful. So I could add those two together and get positive 1 first. Negative 8 plus 9. Negative 15 plus 1 is negative 14. Negative 13 plus 2, that all stays the same. First number the same, addition the same. Subtraction becomes adding the opposite. Negative 13 plus 2, negative 11. Negative 11 plus negative 9, negative 20. First number stays the same. Subtraction becomes adding the opposite. Adding stays the same. Doesn't matter if it's negatives in there, that's adding it, plus negative 3. Negative 11 plus 12, 1. 1 plus negative 3, negative 2. Ron was already overdrawn on his checking account. That means he's overdrawn is the word for you're already negative. You've written checks that you did not have money for. Then he wrote another check for 147. So he subtracted another 147 from his account. So that's the same as negative 1,032 plus negative 147. Right? And this is where maybe we can't do things in our head. And so the balance in his account, oops, that's not an 8, it's a 1. But it is a dollar sign, negative $1,179. And if you do this, when you go to the ATM, you will see your bank balance usually in red. And the truth is it will be worse than that because they will charge you a fee for overdrawing or what's called writing a bad check. So we're at the practice. Do these before I put up the answers. Change your subtractions to adding the opposite, and then you'll see the answer to this. So x plus negative 24 must be the same as that. And then there's the commutative property. That's the same as x plus negative 24. So those three expressions are the same. This one is different. Thank you.